Hello from Becky and me. Welcome to this evening's programme.
Coming up later, the moment we helped a soldier in Afghanistan come to face with his loved ones here for a very special Christmas greeting.
Now, first tonight, the region remains in the grip of the wintry weather this evening as yet more heavy snow causes problems on the roads and air travellers face even further disruption.
The worst of the weather is currently in the west of our region, where the snow's already forced Luton Airport to close. But it's not only travellers who are affected. Yes, many people spent a freezing weekend without power, and hundreds of homes in the Bedfordshire village of Caddington near Luton are facing a third night without heating after a water main burst damaging gas pipes there. Well, we're joined now from Caddington by our correspondent Emma Baker. Emma, more snow there this evening then?
Yes, good evening, Becky. Good evening, Jonathan. Welcome to very snowy Caddington, where you can see it has been snowing very hard. You can see the cars behind me covered in snow. It's been snowing very hard like this pretty much non-stop for the last 4 hours. And I can tell you, it is bitterly cold outside. Now, of course, coping with this kind of extreme snowy conditions is very
our weather and our sound, don't we?
It's the snow. It's causing all sorts of problems this evening.
But, Emma, before she said that, sent through a report as well on the latest weather situation in Caddington. Let's get that.
Welcome warmth in a home that's been without gas for more than 2 days. And if that wasn't bad enough, last night the Millets found themselves without electricity as well.
Bearable without the gas for a little while, and they supplied us with a couple of fan heaters and a ring hob, electric ring hob, because when the electric went, then they were useless anyway. But we've coped, but it's not been pleasant.
These homes here on this street in Caddington are among the hundreds still without gas supply today, and were among the 130 that had to cope without electricity overnight. Now, that electricity has now been restored just before lunchtime today, which will be small comfort to those desperately trying to keep warm in the bitterly cold temperatures, with yet more wintry showers on the way.
I think there's 3 roads in the village that have got no electric and no gas. That's about 36 hours now. They've got no idea when the electric's going back on either.
You don't realise till it happens how you rely on things, do you?
The gas supply in Caddington was lost around noon on Saturday, caused by a burst water pipe. National Grid says it's working flat out to get the supply back on. For others, electricity has been the problem. In Hindringham in Norfolk, Charles and Edna Greaves, both in their 80s, had to cope without power for 3 nights.
We couldn't cook a thing. I've got nothing now. Everything we rely on is electricity. No fire, you see. And my neighbour brought lots of flasks of boiling water around so we could have drink. But otherwise, it was, I say, if my daughter hadn't lived in the village, I don't know what we would have done.
With a 4th day of freezing temperatures, gritting crews have once again been kept busy. Getting about has been tricky for many. Rail passengers in Ipswich had music to entertain them while they waited for delayed trains on the London line.
They're absolutely amazing. And I've noticed how many people have come away from the train station, or getting to the train station, with smiles on their faces. And actually turning around and going and giving the boys some money. It's just been really nice, actually, this morning.
One family from Stowmarket in Suffolk had a far worse time, trapped underground on the Eurostar for more than 9 hours.
People started to get anxious, children started crying, parents started arguing with each other, and the temperature rose in the train immensely. I think it probably up to about 40 degrees. People started to pass out.
With more heavy snow arriving this afternoon in Caddington, villagers here face the prospect of another long and very cold night ahead.
Well, let's head back to Caddington now, where we can rejoin Emma Baker. I think the sound has improved now, Emma. What is the latest situation there?
Absolutely, Jonathan. Yes, there is some good news for the latest situation. Before that, let me just explain. I've come inside the Caddington Social Club, which has become a makeshift shelter for many people here, coming and getting some welcome warmth and some hot food. There is good news for these people, because tonight there's about 50 engineers from the National Grid working around the village to switch people back on to that gas supply. Now, they're having to visit every single home individually, and so, of course, that is going to take some time. The safety message, very important for people living in Caddington waiting to get back onto that gas supply. You must wait until you get a visit from an official of the National Grid before you switch on your gas appliances and your meter. So they're going to be working throughout tonight, and then they're going to be working throughout tomorrow and the next day to try and resupply people. There is still no guarantee they can get everyone back onto the gas supply before Christmas Eve, but they are working very hard at that. Now, of course, this snow is causing lots of problems elsewhere in the region as it begins to fall once again. On the travel, Luton Airport is now closed. Their runway has been closed, and that will stay closed until about 9 o'clock at the earliest this evening. On the roads, the traffic is at a near standstill on the M1. That's near junction 12 near Luton. I also understand there's problems in and around Luton and in Bedford. Trains, no major problems at the moment, but of course you must just check before you go out. Try not to make any unnecessary journeys, and do try to stay warm if you possibly can.
Good to rejoin you eventually. Thanks for that. Well, talking of power, earlier I spoke to Tony Gray, Head of Customer Services at EDF Energy, and I began by asking him if they should have been more prepared.
Well, the fact is that we were prepared, and we had as many resources come in from outside of our region, as well as using our own staff to come in and help us, certainly on Friday and Saturday and yesterday. So we were prepared, but I am so sorry for those customers who had a prolonged spell without electricity. It's not pleasant, and I can understand the difficulties they must have had. So I'm sorry if they had...
Why is it we can't cope, though? What are the main problems? I mean, you're a French company. They managed to cope in France.
Well, the conditions didn't help, for one, in getting about, and it was very difficult to get across up the roads as well as across fields. Even our four-wheel drive vehicles struggled in certain places. But I promise you we had enough resources to work on the lines, but getting there and getting to some of the more remote places was very difficult indeed.
Getting there is one thing. Getting through to you appears to be another. We've had calls this morning saying they simply can't get through to you. They've had automated phone calls. All they want is information.
Yeah, and we are desperate to give customers accurate and up-to-date information, and I'm sorry if they did have problems in getting through to us. Certainly on Friday we had a high volume of calls, but we had enough, we got as many people in as we could to answer the calls, not only here in Ipswich, but in our other call centres and EDF Energy networks. So we had as many people as we could, but the sheer volume of calls we received made it difficult for customers to get through to us.
People have certainly suffered. Will there be compensation?
There will be some compensation for those customers who are without power for in excess of 24 hours. We will be writing out to them proactively, and they will receive their letters probably in the new year, so they haven't got to make a claim. But if they haven't heard from us by the 10th of January, please get in touch. But we will be writing proactively to those customers who lost their power and without power for over 24 hours.
OK. Tony Gray, thank you very much indeed for your time.
Thank you.
Well, we'll have the very latest on that wintry weather in the full forecast with Rachel later in the programme as well.
Now, in other news, there's confusion tonight about the future ownership of Stansted Airport. The Competition Commission told BAA it had to sell 3 airports, including Stansted and Gatwick. BAA appealed on the basis that one member of the Competition Commission had a link with one of the groups interested in buying Gatwick Airport. A tribunal's agreed, and now there's likely to be a new inquiry into Stansted's future next year. Still to come tonight, more Christmas